What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 3 and Out YouTube page. I'm John Middlekauff, and we are talking football all day, every day. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends. Let's roll, baby. Okay, mailbag time. At John Middlekauff, it's the Instagram. Fire in those DMs. Get your question answered on the show. Diehard Pats fan. And I was wondering what your take on this would be. Swap out Mac Jones and Drake Maye. So Mac out, Drake in. With Josh as the OC and Belichick running the D, meaning Belichick's head coach. Where would they be at right now? I believe that Drake's talent plus some time to grow under Josh would be a better spot than we are in now. Well, would you take head coach Belichick and Josh McDaniels with Drake Maye or Jerod Mayo and Alex Van Pelt? What are we talking about here? I think the problem, it would. Now, they struggled with drafting receivers. They still had some issues. But clearly, once Josh left Bill, it kind of derailed everything. And he got a head coaching job. He made 6 years. I heard Mark Davis owed him and Ziegler like $80 million remaining on the two contracts because he had paid Josh a lot. Ziegler was making a lot. They were on long-term deals. It was time for a change. So it's hard to argue that they didn't do the right thing, because they did by just breaking up with Bill. Now, hiring a guy who feels like he's over his head. And this is the scary part for Drake Maye. You get in a situation where, even though you're physically gifted, the offensive line is going to be awful. Are you thrust into action really soon? Is your team just getting their teeth kicked in? It feels like it could be an uphill battle. And only the mentally tough make it through that. It takes out a lot of people, because most people aren't Peyton Manning that are going to be good no matter what. I saw it with Alex Smith. Mike Nolan, Mike Singletary, the teams were bad. It was hard, and it was ugly. And he was going through new offensive coordinators every year. And for most people in Alex Smith's situation, they just wash out of the league. But somehow he just persevered. He was mentally tough. And then Jim Harbaugh came and saved him. So I would imagine if Drake Maye does become a really good player, it won't be with this head coach and offensive coordinator. Kickoff idea. The mailbag people can't seem to agree on the 30-yard line or the 35-yard line for touchbacks. Teams kick off 5 to 6 times per game. What if each touchback adds 1 yard to the ball placement on the next kickoff for each team? This will lead to more late-game kickoff returns and even more exciting overtime kickoffs. It gives the NFL a look at what touchbacks look like at the 30 yards and also the 35-yard line. It also slightly handicaps teams that score a lot and provide parity the NFL wants. If it is a problem early on, which Bill Belichick expects it to be, and to me he's saying that from an educated standpoint, I would imagine a lot of coaches are BSing with Bill over the last couple months, especially about special teams. I think the NFL will change it, because a touchback has to be more punitive. Because at the end of the day, the 30, it's just worth going to the 30 and not the 35. Obviously, but I'm just saying, if there is any question about the guy back, think about a tie game and you're playing the Dolphins and they put Tyreek Hill back there. Think about a tie game and you're playing the 49ers and they put Deebo Samuel back there. Right? You get in some of these situations, and there are countless players all over the league that you could do this with. What if Andy did it with Xavier Worthy? What if, I'm trying to think, just your starting running, what if the Eagles did it with Saquon Barkley? Tie game, Dallas Cowboys for the division. Now, that would be a long way down the road, but you know what I mean. And I just think the teams are just going to wave the white flag on it, which is exactly, counterproductive from what the NFL wanted, was this to be a real play. And if it turns into the same exact result of people just kicking it through, whether it's at the 30 or the 20, it's still the same thing. The play doesn't matter. And it's just a complete waste. I think week 1 is going to be fascinating. I think Thursday and Friday night with the Eagles and the Eagles, Packers, and Chiefs, Ravens is going to give us a pretty good insight. Because if in those 2 games they're just booting it forward, I thought Bill had the best idea. Just go normal kickoff and move them back. Have the kicker be at a spot where it would take the greatest kicker of all time to get it halfway through the end zone, let alone through the end zone. I still don't feel great about the rules. Like, I don't learn by studying. I learn by watching, or I learn by doing. So, like, I feel like I've learned more watching it, but it's also the preseason, so you're totally not locked in. I think once the regular season, week 1, I'll have a pretty good idea on exactly what is going on. But I couldn't give like a tutorial on the kickoff right now. Bay Area native, living in Raleigh, North Carolina. I first heard you a decade ago on the radio. Question about holdouts and injuries. Is there any data showing the significance of holding out of training camp and the impact of season-long nagging injuries? I feel like there's a high correlation between the two. I could be wrong. It's just my instinctive belief. For instance, CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Ayuk both have missed pretty much all of training camp. I know they're working out on their own, but I feel like working out and practicing football are 2 totally different things. When I see guys sit out all of training camp, my thought is, watch them get hurt in the next few weeks. I would imagine that they are definitely more susceptible to an injury than a guy that's been practicing since July 25th. You don't even need data to go, this guy has not been doing what everyone else is going to be doing, and then he's going to be thrust into a situation where we know that week 1 is way faster than any practice, let alone any preseason games. I saw today that CD's now in like a phase where they get him back up to speed, so they don't just throw him out there right away. But they don't have that much time because Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are off, so there is no practice. And yeah, but what are you supposed to do? Like, CeeDee Lamb's holding out until you give him the number he wants. Brandon Ayuk, I don't even know how to. How would you even describe the situation? I feel like Brandon Ayuk's situation's unprecedented. They've offered him money. He says no. He said he wanted to trade. They found him trades, and he said no. I don't really understand what's going on beside he wants to be a Niner and he wants CeeDee Lamb's contract. The 49ers want him as a Niner, but they want to pay him $27 million a year. And they will never pay him CeeDee Lamb's contract. We had the appetizer last week. Now it's time to feast. College football is back. Don't miss any of the action. Jump in at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's a full slate of games for week 1, including the big matchup in Atlanta between the preseason number 1 and number 16. It's going to be the DraftKings biggest college football season to date. Enjoy the ride, now all the way through the extended playoffs. Plus, all newbies getting into the college spirit, here's something extra special. New DraftKings customers, bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings all college football season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Question for the mailbag. What was ultimately wrong with your dog? Did you get a diagnosis? I'm a veterinarian in Michigan who listens to your show. It's called like IMHA. It's some immune disorder that I guess smaller dogs get. She's had it now since Wednesday. We're on Tuesday. She is doing a lot better when you look at her and moving around, but we took her to the doctor today. Her red blood cell count is still really low, and she might have to get a blood transfusion tomorrow. So I might be saying that name wrong, but she has an immune disorder that screws with her blood count, and she's kind of in a shell of herself. She can't move. She breathes hard. They say that like 30-40% of dogs die within the first week. So yeah, fun times. Lions fan here. Been listening to you for about a year now. I wanted to know what your thoughts are about the Lions' chances of making it back to the conference championship. I know Colin has the Packers winning the division and the Lions still making the playoffs. I want to know what your thoughts are, and if you think they have a chance to get back to the Super Bowl. I think they have a very good chance to be the number 1 seed. I'll probably do, I guess, division picks next week, but I'm picking the Lions. I actually think there are a lot of easy divisions to pick. Lions, the Chiefs. I'm picking the Bills until they don't win that division. There are obviously some tough divisions. I don't think your division is that tough. I think the Lions are just better than the other teams. Your major question mark was defensive backs. Well, you doubled down on that position in the draft and in free agency trades. So your front seven, we know, is going to be good. Aiden Hutchinson's one of the best pass rushers. I think he'll establish himself as that this year. And we know how loaded your offense is. Best offensive line, arguably, in the NFL. A veteran quarterback who's proven he can win in the playoffs, let alone be an excellent regular season player. Star tight end, stud wide receiver, a deep threat that feels like maybe he's coming into his own, Jameson Williams. Awesome backfield. Like, I don't see what's not to like about the Lions. I think the Packers still have 2 question marks. One, is this just who Jordan Love is? He's had a great 8 games. Like, is he just going to play at a Pro Bowl level all season? I like Jordan Love a lot, but until you do it, who knows? And defense. I would say sitting here, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears are better than the Packers. I wouldn't bet on that, but it wouldn't be shocking. I think the Lions win 12, 13 games again. Hey, John, lifelong Pats fan here. Been a great 25 years so far as a football fan. Have been very privileged to watch the greatest dynasty of all time. My question is the Pats' handling of the current quarterback situation. I understand the reasoning behind sitting May, and I understand it's only preseason, but Drake has looked miles better than any other quarterback we have. So why not just start him? When Mahomes sat for a year, the Chiefs were very successful and had a very good quarterback in place ahead of him. Same with Rodgers, same with Jordan Love. I think the main problem with the Pat situation with Drake Maye, because there is no disputing, Jacoby Brissett's not very good. You could argue at $10 million he's stealing, but that's what the Pats were willing to pay him, and he's a good guy. So, you're paying like an extra $3 or $4 million for vibes. But he can't move. Like, he's not an athlete. He is a statue back there. He's going to get killed. Their O-line sucks. It is really bad. So, yeah, he's way better. And I'm a huge proponent of learn by doing. But would this guy get killed being Drake Maye? Now, is Jacoby going to last a month? Let's say Jacoby is healthy, the shoulder injury is not a big deal, and he starts week 1. What's the over-under of games he plays before he's injured? 3.5? 2.5? It's not very big. So it's inevitable that Drake's going to play because there's no way on God's green earth that Jacoby can play 17 games as a pocket quarterback behind this offensive line, especially because they're not good. So what does that mean? They're going to be behind. What does that mean? They got to throw. They're going to be in a lot of second and third and longs. So he's going to be in compromised situations. I think in theory they're doing the right thing, but it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable to throw him out there. The concern is if like he's still, in their minds, a pretty big project. You throw him out there, he's running for his life. Young people lose confidence fast. Humans lose confidence fast. So it takes a while to build it. It does not take long to lose it in any walk of life. It's always a big thing in golf. When you got it going on, you think you'll never, you're always nervous you're going to lose it. And when you lost it, you think you're never going to get it back. And I think you're very concerned about throwing him at a disadvantage to just get killed. It's one thing, like, we're going to struggle, whatever. What if Bryce Young's never the same after last year? Considering the rumors that have gone out about Richardson choosing to run rather than throw the ball, what do you think the odds are Bean would ever get a start? They're all in on Anthony Richardson. I watched Shane Steichen on Rich Eisen the other day. He's going to go, the ship is going to sink with Anthony Richardson. And I was a big believer. I was like, I was thinking about picking the Colts. I'm still going to pick the Colts, I think, to make the playoffs. because I think Shane Steichen is such a star coach and he'll work with it. But, and I know it's only preseason, but the one thing you see with Anthony Richardson, touch and accuracy is going to be a work in progress. Now, he's a great runner, but can he stay healthy while running? And can he function enough in the passing game when stuff's open and hit guys? Like, if you tell me the Colts don't make the playoffs, I'd be like, I bet he has a really inaccurate season. And Anthony Richardson plays all year, I bet his completion percentage is in like the mid to high 50s, which is a problem in this modern day NFL. But can they run the ball enough, play defense, ride Jonathan Taylor, ride the quarterback run game while keeping him healthy, which is tough, man. But your guy's ceiling is Anthony Richardson. And you see it. Like when you watch him in the preseason game, who are they playing? The Bengals? I think it was the Bengals. He is oozing with talent. It's like, this is everything you want in a project. Good guy, physically. I mean, he throws the ball effortlessly, and it's going 100 miles an hour. So can he develop a changeup? Can he just develop? He doesn't have to be Peyton Manning or Drew Brees, but just some sort of touch and accuracy, and he can be a really good player. But if he can't do that, it's going to be a problem. But I have no take on your Kansas quarterback. I'm sorry. Your whole offensive defensive coach theory is bullshit. You prop up Shanahan McVay like they are superior guys like Tomlin when I don't see him getting to the playoffs with a below average quarterback play. Shanahan's offense with Nick Mullins not the same. And not only did those teams not make the playoffs, they were one of the worst teams in the league. McVay couldn't even make the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. In fact, he already missed the playoffs twice, as great of a head coach he is. Listen, Mike Tomlin and these defensive guys, when there are questions at quarterback, Kyle Shanahan is winning big with Brock Purdy, who was the last pick in the draft. Kyle Shanahan won playoff games with Jimmy Garoppolo, who, I got news for you, might just stink. Now, he didn't stink when he was playing with them, but he was always pretty average. The offensive head coach can manipulate the quarterback position. Yeah, no one can win with the shittiest quarterback possible. Sean McVay got Baker Mayfield late in the season. Sean McVay didn't play all season with Baker Mayfield. Remember, he was playing with a bunch of random guys. And then they got Baker later in the regular season when he beat the Raiders. But that was either late November or early December. The theory is not bullshit. It's an offensive league. So I want my coach to be able to coach the quarterback. It kind of matters. How's that even debatable at this point? It really is not. We have seen Andy Reid for 2 decades, 2.5 decades, win with countless players. Why? Because he's a quarterback guru and he's the offensive play caller. Yeah, it matters defense. It used to matter a lot more on a weekly basis when teams ran the ball all the time. Scoring was lower, though scoring was technically lower last year. But in 2024, I'm not disputing Mike Tomlin's not a good coach, or that if he was fired, he wouldn't immediately be hired. But if we did a coaching draft tomorrow, and it was based on the draft order, so starting with Carolina all the way to 32, think of the coaches that would go in the top 10. Andy would go 1. I think Kyle and McVay would be locks for at least 2 of the next 3 picks. I think Shane Steichen would go really high. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh would go above his brother. Before Lamar Jackson, the Ravens started struggling. John Harbaugh couldn't do anything with the quarterback. Joe Flacco looked like a complete scrub. You saw Joe Flacco with Robert Saleh. Didn't look that good. You saw him with Shane Steichen or Stefanski. All of a sudden good. You know why? Because Stefanski and Shane Steichen can manipulate that position. So, yeah, it's easier to win when you got John Elway or Peyton Manning. No shit. But can you win with random guys? Like Eric Spoelstra can kind of compete with just random guys. Most NBA coaches can't sniff wins if they don't have a star. So you take defensive coaches, I'll take offensive coaches in 2024 moving forward, and we'll see where the dust settles. I feel pretty confident. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in a decade almost. It's not even a theory. These are the guys dominating. Dan Campbell, what's his background? Offense. I love the show and your takes. Why was it that Jeff Fisher was so good at the Titans, coached there for 16 years and almost won a Super Bowl and got to multiple AFC championships? But when he went to the Rams, he was mediocre. Well, he had a really good quarterback. Like, he had Steve McNair for whatever, from 95 to 2005. So he had a guy that won an MVP. He had a guy going to Pro Bowls. And the league, like, this was an old school defensive guy who learned from Buddy Ryan. So in the 90s and even the 2000s, like, whenever on Instagram it comes up, like, enjoy highlights from the 90s or highlights from the 2000s, it looks like a different sport. So what he did was very important to the way the game was officiated. Toughness, leadership, run the ball, old school conservative coach. That's not really football the last 10, 15 years. Once Brady and Manning got older, Rodgers came into the league, it became a throwing league. That's not him. He was built for a different time. And he was good. And his shit translated. And then the league changed on him. With the success of young quarterbacks, could Jerry Jones be eyeing a complete overhaul? I can see paying an up-and-coming OC enough money they can't refuse to be the head coach. Having him pick a guy in the draft, Ewers, Milroe, whoever, and maybe trading CD to the AFC for the capital to do so. Once you give CD that amount of money, he's on the team. I don't think Jerry is okay with being the second most popular football team in Texas. Your thoughts? I think you have to rephrase that. He has a potential. We'll see how this year plays out. He would be the second best team in Texas. They are by far not just the most popular team in Texas. They're the most popular team in America. And definitely the most talked about. Jerry's 81 years old. So I have a hard time seeing him do a complete overhaul. To me, if he was 68, it's on the table. You do a complete overhaul at 81, you might not be alive to ever see the thing turn around. And the thing with Jerry is, like, they are pretty good right now. And what if they win 10, 11 games again? That's 4 straight years of double-digit wins. Part of the reason they fired Garrett is, like, he was the king of the 8-8. King of the almost. Like, Mike McCarthy is getting you to the playoffs. What if Mike McCarthy wins the division again? Even if they lose in the first or second round. So he's won the division 3 out of 4 years. You're going to fire him? I feel like this year I'm going to come to Mike McCarthy's defense. How are you going to upgrade off Mike McCarthy? He's the offensive play caller. He's winning games. He's really good with quarterbacks. Like, really good with quarterbacks. So it's like, okay, we're going to fire him for some up-and-coming OC. Well, there's no guarantee that guy can be the head coach and handle the quarterbacks. Because some guys get overwhelmed. Where Mike's proven he knows how to be a head coach and he knows how to coach the quarterback. I mean, Dak had the best year of his career. And really, since he's been the head coach, Dak's been really good. Not in the playoffs, obviously, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be on the opposite side of what I've been when it comes to McCarthy. Like, fire McCarthy for who? I think we've kind of acknowledged, like, Belichick going to work for Jerry? Hard time seeing that. Mike Vrabel is a good coaching candidate, but you're going to hire a defensive guy? I have a hard time seeing that. So I feel like McCarthy's going to end up surviving if they win double-digit games again, especially if they win the division, regardless of what happens in the playoffs.